If you're like most teachers in a school environment, you've had a network drive that you've saved all of your documents and things into. So maybe that's a drive that's on your actual computer. Maybe it's a network drive that you have access to, like the H drive or whatever at your school. But what you're probably wondering is, how do I get all of those files into my Google Drive environment? Because it makes sense to use Google Drive. Why? Number one, as a school G Suite user, you have unlimited space. You will never run out of space within the school environment. Two, you can access that information in your Drive account from anywhere. If you're using data from a school network server, then likely you're not able to access it unless you are inside of the school district network. So I want to show you how we go about doing that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a folder here, because I think it's important for you to have to create a folder. So notice what I do. The first thing I do is I take and I click on the drive, the folder, where I want to create that new folder. So I'm going to nest a folder within the My Drive folder. I come up to New, I click on Folder, and now we're going to go Google Class, number 2. And we're going to create this folder just like so. So notice what it does. It's going to throw that into an alphabetical listing here. It's going to be in here. I'm going to right click on it, add a color to it so that it doesn't get confusing. There we go. And now I've got a new folder. So let's say that I've got all of these resources that I want to put into my Google Class number 2 folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that folder. I know that I'm within that folder now because I can see in my breadcrumbs here, I'm under My Drive under Google Class number 2. So the first thing to do is make sure that you know where you're going to upload your files and folders to. Really important, because if you just throw everything into My Drive, it makes it much harder to access that. So now that we have the folder, we're in the folder, we're going to go out and we're going to actually take and do a file upload. Now what's cool about the file upload is I can download or upload any kind of different file here. So I'm going to upload this PDF file just to show you how it works. So I'm out on my drive, I'm going to click open, and what you'll notice is that a little box shows up here. It's going to say, all right, I've got that in, and now I've got a PDF file right inside of my Google Class number 2 folder. All right, so that's pretty simple and easy, but what really happens for a lot of us is that we've used something other than Google Drive to create all of our documents. And not only do we want our documents to come into Google Drive, we want to be able to edit them. So I want to show you how you go about converting documents from one format to another. So for example, from a Microsoft Word format to a Google Doc format. So we're going to do this 2 ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to upload just a Word document into Drive here. And before I do that, I'm going to come over to my settings menu here. Now this is really important. We have to turn something on in settings. So I'm going to click on settings, and you notice this second option here. It's asking me if I want to convert uploads. It was checked, which means that I'm asking it to convert uploads. But prior to doing that, I want to show you how you bring in just a Word document that doesn't convert. So I'm going to click on Done. I'm going to go to New. I'm going to do a file upload, and I'm going to come out, I'm going to find a document here that I can, so I'm going to go to my Documents folder over here. I'm going to find this 5E's lesson plans. You notice it's a DOC file, which means it's a Word doc. I click on Open, and what it's going to do is going to bring that in. I want you to notice the icon here, and if I change it to a list view, it's a Word icon. What that's telling me is that it's not, I can't edit it right now because it's in a Word format. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the exact same upload, but this time I'm going to go to settings and I'm going to convert uploaded files to Google Drive. Click on Done. I'm going to go right back to that exact same file, that 5E's lesson plan doc. I'm going to click on Open, but notice this time I told it to convert it, and what you'll notice is that these 2 icons differ. This one, if I click on it, it's going to give me a preview. All right. This one, if I click on it, it's actually going to open this up into a Google Docs format, which then allows me to edit. And let's just put in 2018, and it's going to save that edit there. So in Google Drive, I have the ability to either say just upload them in their standard format or upload them in the Google Docs format so that I can then edit these documents. So really important. So some of you might just use it as a storage type of system. Others of you might use it as a way to actually use a more collaborative environment to create these different documents. Now, a couple things to note. So this will actually convert most of the Microsoft Office format. So for sure it'll convert a Word file to a Google Docs file type. It will take a an Excel file and convert it to a Google Sheets file, and it will also take a PowerPoint and convert it to a Google Slides file. Now, the one thing you need to know, sometimes your formatting does not come across so that it's exactly the same. A lot of times that's because of the fonts that you're using in your documents outside of Google. So Google doesn't have as many fonts as the Office suite does. You can add more fonts, but a lot of times people freak out because it's not, their tables aren't aligned, those types of things. So make sure you're using a standard font, an Arial, a Times New Roman, those types of fonts. That will allow you to more easily make that conversion process somewhat seamless. So let's take a look at some other ways that we can bring files into Google Drive. So one of the things that I can do instead of a file upload is a folder upload. So again, if we get back to that idea that you have a bunch of files stored on your a network server, we can kind of come in here and we say, all right, let's take and bring in one of these files. So I'm just going to take this August Institute folder. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to click on upload. And so what it's going to do is going to take every single one of these files here and it's going to upload that into my Google Drive. And it's going to keep the file structure too. So you notice that it's there's 33 files in there. This is going to take some time to do. So I can double click on this, and as those pieces come in, I'm going to be able to see those. So the really cool thing about uploading folders is it keeps that folder structure. So it doesn't just throw them into this folder, it keeps the August Institute folder in this case. So super cool. One of the other things that you can do is you can actually take and drag and drop things into Google Drive. So if I take this and let's just go to my desktop here, I'm just going to take and grab a file here. So I'm just going to take this. Notice I'm dragging it in from a folder on my desktop. Click and drag, and that's going to throw that in as well. This just happens to be a graphic. So you can throw all kinds of PDF files, all kinds of Office files. You can even throw in videos as well. So if I wanted to, I could take this 360 video that I have on my desktop. Again, I'm just going to click, hold, and drag, and that's going to throw that into my Google Drive folder here. So one of the best things about Google Drive is it lets you store all kinds of files inside of your Google Drive environment. Again, you can use it just as a repository or a backup, or you can start to use it to create documents and edit documents and that type of thing.